What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 23 of... You mean 22, right? Yes, 22. 22 is what I mean. 3 of Pay to Glory. I just want to start by, as usual, thanking everybody for the growth on the channel. If you haven't already, please leave a like down below on the video, and any questions that you guys have, shoot them down in the comment section below. I do answer any questions that I receive or any comments. I'll definitely engage with them, and I like to answer them on video. We've had a lot of newcomers through Twitter and through Reddit, so I appreciate you guys checking out, even just watching a video. I really appreciate you guys helping me grow the channel. I'm small time compared to, a lot of these other YouTubers, so every view helps, every tweet helps, every even upvote helps. So as you guys are seeing here with the team, we picked up Luka Modric's Team of the Year. And the reason I kind of cringe to a certain degree is because I was like, I'm going to save these coins and use them on an SBC. But I was watching some streams and some YouTube videos, and I just took the advice of guys that, had been doing this a long time and made some really good points. They're just like, you know what? There's no point in hoarding coins. I saw so many guys hoard packs through Team of the Year and then pack nothing. I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be saving up for months. I'm like, I might as well just use the coins and go get something that I can enjoy right away. So I had about 850K sitting there for a little while after Team of the Year, and we had a whole bunch of players in the club. So Luka Modric I saw was going for 1.3, and I had 850, so I sold off a lot of our big boys, our 88s, 87s, 86s, and a bunch of players from the SBCs, for the league SBCs that were going for anything. And we were able to scrounge up the 1.3 million and go out and get Team of the Year Luka Modric. We also picked up Marcelo, who was going for, I think, a little under 40. I think I paid 40 flat for him. So we were able to put that together and go out and get him. I just wanted to make that midfield, really, really well-rounded. It's already strong with Mateus, with Rijkaard, and with Maradona in there, but to put Luka Modric in there really makes that midfield really, really strong. You guys know that I like to build my teams around midfielders. Excuse me. They're just the strength of my side. I spend so much time in the midfield kind of building up play, so I figured, I'm going to start there, and then I can, pick up a defender here and there, upgrade strikers once I get the amount of coins to do so. But right now, those positions are strong enough that I'm happy with where they're at. So as we come into our first game, played 4 games like I normally like to do, and the first game was just an online singles match. The reason for this is I don't really care if I win or lose the online singles match. It's just basically to get back into it if I haven't played for a day or two or whatever. Just to get back in the flow, get a feel for the game. So it's not anything that I have to win. It's not super competitive. It's just basically get a feel for the game. So as we came into this game, this guy had an interesting team. He had basically an EPL team that had, for some reason, he had Andrea Pirlo. I don't know why I was forgetting his name, but he had Pirlo jammed in there on no chemistry. Yeah, he had some chemistry because he was in the right position, but he had no links, so he had 5 chem, I guess would be what he was at. So I don't understand why guys do that, especially in a central midfielder role. But you're going to see that in other teams that we played too. I've been coming up against that a lot. I don't know if you guys know something that I don't know regarding chemistry, or maybe you just believe that chemistry doesn't exist. But I just think it's so weird when someone jams a player into a team like that on no chem, especially when the rest of their team is built around a league. If you're going to do no chem, you might as well do it everywhere on the team. But whatever, if that's the way this guy wants to build his team, I mean, it's his team. He can do whatever he wants. It's his ultimate team. So as we played this guy, he really started off to a really quick start. This was a real midfield battle. And then we end up getting our first goal with Antoine Griezmann, a slip pass through. Actually got a little lucky because he was really tight, but he was able to get that shot near post. And then we get this second one, the shot saved, and then he just gets the cheese rebound. I don't know what's happening with the camera here. I changed to the Stadium of Light, which I believe is Sunderland Stadium. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's Sunderland Stadium. But with these smaller stadiums in the EPL, a lot of these ones that don't have a massive, 3-tiered stadium, they get a really weird camera angle when you score. It'll shoot to the corner, and it will look in this fishbowl type of camera angle. So I don't really know why it's doing that, but I need to change stadiums again. I thought I would just do it because I wanted to try something different, but I forgot that that happens with these smaller stadiums. It just gets a really weird camera angle, and normally that wouldn't really bother me, but it ruins the celebration. So you don't get to see the celebration. It basically shoots out, and you just kind of see from a distance the celebration happening. So it's really odd. So anyway, so that was the end of the first game. We end up winning 2-0. Good way to start the video, just get a feel for the game. He didn't generate a whole lot. He had that shot right off the kickoff. And then he essentially went ultra attacking, and I spent the rest of the game, unfortunately, having to just kind of weather the storm. So I've said this a couple times with people were asking me about my experience with Marco van Basten. And the issue that I have with Marco van Basten is his acceleration is too slow. So I like him pace-wise. Once he gets up and going, he's fine. He's probably the best shooter I've had in the entire year. He's a phenomenal goal scorer in terms of just his shooting. He's big. He feels strong enough. You know, he's going to get bodied off by like your Eric Bailly's and some of your really strong guys. But for the most part, he's strong enough. But it's just his acceleration. And the reason that's important is late in the game, which you didn't really see too much here, but you're going to see it in some of the other games. I try to keep a couple clips in, and then one clip I'll actually draw you guys' attention to. But late in the game, if a guy, which they almost certainly will, if you're winning, the guy will go ultra attacking. It'll push your team back. And essentially what it's saying to the game is this guy needs to score. So ramp up his defensive abilities, and let's even give him more opportunities by having the other team's defensive AI kind of drop a little bit further down. So the sliders just kind of start affecting because it's viewing it as strategy, and this guy needs to get back in the game. So let's help him out a little bit. That's not necessarily scripting, and so to say, because you can counteract it with your own tactics, but you need to watch out for that. And anyway, the whole point of that is that with Marco van Basten, you're only really going to get, when guys are doing that, playing ultra attacking, you're only going to get kind of counterattacks, so you need to take advantage of it. And the guy can't pick up and go. If he doesn't have that acceleration, you're going to squander those opportunities and get caught from behind a lot of the time. So you at least have somebody who's just a pace whore on the bench that you can just sub on, so you don't squander opportunities, because they could be the difference between you winning and losing a game, especially if the guy scores again. So that's my advice with that. Just get a couple pace merchants that you can just throw on the bench at the very least if you're going to use Marco van Basten. So as we come into our second game here, again, right off the start, we just get kind of onslaughted. I didn't even touch the ball yet, and this guy was just rushing down. That kickoff boost, thankfully, it looks like they're going to be addressing that in the new patch that's coming out. It looks like they're finally acknowledging that there's a kickoff boost. They're going to be doing something. There's also some interesting changes to FUT Chams. Now you're not going to be able to cherry pick with knowing whether you're home or away or seeing what other kits. So it's going to be really interesting for me, because I love to watch like competitive FIFA when guys like Gorilla or Dragon or any of these guys stream, and a lot of them kind of cherry pick. They'll be able to identify what pros there are. People shy away from like PSG and Schalke and some of the bigger esports teams. So now you're not going to be able to determine which players those are. So it'll be really interesting changes seeing those come into play here. But as we come into that game, we come back to the gameplay. You guys are seeing Luka Modric with his first real contribution. I don't even know what to say. This card felt really, really good, but this whole play was just like his card, in all the strengths of his card in one play. He dispossesses the play right off of the throw-in, basically takes it all the way up the field, ball rolls, cuts back inside, and then finesses a shot far post. His shooting felt really, really strong. So I was really happy with Luka Modric. Is he worth 1.3 million? Probably not. I wouldn't break the bank for him. But with that being said, I was really, really happy with him being in the team. He just feels like he gives such a presence to the midfield, and I just like the feeling of having, you know, 4 real tanks in the midfield that all kind of do their thing. And then this is Maradona at his absolute finest. Kind of a little how's she doing there in the midfield, get him off of his run. The guy was just tracking me down, kind of cut back and forth, confuse him a little bit, and then a finesse around the keeper. Maradona is just so good. I can't even emphasize enough how good he is. You know, if you guys ever get the opportunity to use a prime icon, use a prime icon. Even the loan ones. You know, the loan ones don't cost you that much. You can do like loan Ronaldinho for like 20K, and you get him for 20 games, you know, and he's just so fun to use, and so many of these guys are fun to use. You know, go do the Marco van Basten one. He's probably even cheaper than that. So if you get the opportunity to do any of these, you know, it's not that hard to generate 20K nowadays. You could probably do that in a day from just playing enough games and maybe doing a little bit of trading. You can generate the 20K that you need. But there's so much fun, honestly, guys, to just try and, you know, do one of the Prime Icon SBCs and just do one of the lone ones, fit them into the team, because if you guys are anything like me and, you know, like to have a real bossy player in your squad, it's definitely worth it. So many guys have players in their team that they could even sell off just to try and get a guy for 20 games. So this is the clip that I wanted to show you guys. This was basically breaking out. You see it takes a terrible touch, and Marwan Fellaini, I think, of all people, runs him down. So when a guy's going ultra attacking, which this guy is, you're just seeing like his team will get jacked up, but he'll just be able to dispossess you. They play a lot more aggressive. They buzz around like bees. They're harder to break down, as you guys can see. Like it's so much harder to generate opportunities because this guy's team is just coming at you in waves. They defend a lot better. These were just chances. These were the only real chances that I had once this guy went ultra attacking. Like his team would just dispossess me, and every time I would get up the field, my strikers would be standing around, so I'd have to manually be passing and sending them on runs using L1 and hitting L1 pass to pass and move, because when your other team's going ultra attacking, it's basically telling your team to stand around because the other guy wants the ball back. So you have to kind of break the game by, you know, manually telling it to do things, which is unfortunate, but whatever. That's the way the coding goes. But we head into the semifinal now. I was happy with the 3-0 win. Had some really nice goals in there. I think this guy ends up quitting out, so I probably should have edited that part out, but I don't know why a guy would quit out in the semifinal. Like, he wanted me to show him my other jersey, and I think I just left that in for the comedy of it, like a guy being like, "What's your other jersey? Are you a pro?" And just what I was talking about with the FUT Champ stuff. Guys saying like, "Oh, I want to see the jerseys. If this guy's too good, I'm going to quit out. I don't want to get exposed for being weak," you know, so it was just silly. But we end up coming into this third game finally. Thankfully, this guy played. He had, you know, an interesting team. Wilson again up front, who seems to be a real popular card, and then he's got that Syria left side there. I don't recommend using Paulo Dybala as a central midfielder, especially in that formation. You need him to basically be defensive in that role, and that's just, you know, common sense in terms of team composition. So this was actually the easiest game, I dare say. No offense to this guy playing. It wasn't like he was a bad player, but between the 4 games that we ended up playing, like the first one I think was in the previous episode, we only played the opening round, but this guy was easier to break down for one simple reason. His team was just so spread out. I don't know if it was in his custom tactics. A couple horrible finishes there right off the start, but his custom tactics, I don't know if his team was just too spread, but there was so much room for me to maneuver, and especially with my team, how compact they are, and what good dribblers I have in my team, I was thankful that like this guy's team played so spread out, because it gave me so much room to operate. This first goal, this guy actually had a couple opportunities off the start. They weren't great opportunities, but he had them. And then I finally get an opportunity where I send that ball through, and that's just the power of the icon. That's Lothar Matthäus. Look at here, the actual pass. And then he was actually behind him when the ball was played, but because he's that icon with all that power, he just got into position, powered the guy out of position, and then was able to sneak it in near post. So I was really happy with that. And then I thought I had a second one here with Lacazette, but turns out he was offside. So frustrating in that sense, but I just felt like I was going to come back, and this guy was just, he was overcommitting. He was giving me so much room. Like, look at that, Maradona right up the middle. I was really just bottling chances. Like, I really should have gone up a couple goals here, but I just missed so many chances. Like, another one where that was just stupid. I could have ran right up the middle. The guy gave me so much room, and I just sprinted away from goal. So that was just stupid on my part, some of these opportunities that I wasn't taking advantage of. Thankfully, he wasn't prolific enough a goal scorer. I feel like I'm putting the guy down. It's not a knock against him, but I really should have been scoring a lot more. Finally, after the start of the second half, we were able to get our second goal. Ricardo Quaresma, another great card. He was a fantastic card at the start of the game. He's kind of average stat-wise now, but he feels so much better than his card stats are, guys. If you want a really good super sub, Ricardo Quaresma's dribbling is awesome, his shooting's awesome, his passing. He makes a really good cam or center midfielder. I don't know if he's a great striker because he's not necessarily that prolific in front of goal, but he's a really, really good attacking midfielder or winger, you know, if you guys want a really good winger to jump on. So I do recommend doing it. It's relatively cheap. It's probably only going to run you like 150K to do the entire league of the Liga NOS. So go out and do that if you really want a good super sub. And then Luka Modric gets his second goal here. I was really happy. I was hitting a lot of shots with him. This was actually a low driven, if you can believe that. You know, I usually wouldn't recommend taking a low driven from there. That low driven shot is one that I usually only take in the box, but I was just trying things out. I think it was just instinct for him to hit that, but just shows you his long distance shooting. So I was starting to hit shots from like a lot further out just because I had the feeling that this was going to be a game that I was going to win. And then some really awful defending on my part there. I was just diving in. If this was a different player, if I felt like it was a tighter game, I probably wouldn't have been doing that, but I was taking a little bit more risks. As you can see here, I'm just kind of dangling through his midfield. He just makes a real clumsy tackle. He didn't even tackle the guy who had the ball. I think he took out Maradona, who was just standing there. Ends up getting a yellow with Barzali. And of course we're going to give this to Diego Maradona. Just jack up his stats. Maradona is a card that I just want as many goals with as possible. He's obviously my favorite player of all time, so for me, I'm going to get as many goals with him as I can. I've been trying to practice my penalties, funny enough. You wouldn't notice it from that penalty. I swear, guys, in the arena, I'm like a penalty expert. I'm smashing them into corners, bottom corner, top cheese, everywhere. But, like, in the game, man, like, my penalties just suck ass. Like, look at this penalty. This is so bad. If the guy guessed right, he definitely would have stopped it. And I thought, okay, so when I was taking that, I envisioned this flying into the top corner. I thought I put perfect power on it. I'm like, this is going to rocket into the top corner. And that's what I got out of it. And I was like, ugh. Well, good thing he just, you know, picked the wrong side because it really was terribly taking penalties. So hopefully I don't go into penalty shootouts. I don't even know if I've won a penalty shootout this year. I think I've only been in a handful because I don't play too many games that require penalty shootouts. Like Seasons doesn't have them at all, and I think in DKT and the online singles I might have come across a couple, but I pretty much lose them all. So I don't even think you guys have seen any in the series, so that shows you how frequently I have to deal with penalties. And penalties seem to be toned down this year. Like you don't really, at least I feel like I don't really get that many penalties. Maybe it's just because I don't dangle that much in the box, but I get a lot of free kicks just outside the area. You guys know my philosophy of the whole kind of bait and rush. And if you guys have no idea what that is, my philosophy with FIFA is I like to hold the ball outside the area, draw his players out, his defenders, get him frustrated by having him pull defenders out of position, and then once I see openings, rush in behind his defense and slip a shot in. So that's what I call the kind of bait, and then I rush him. So that's my whole philosophy. So I spend a lot of time just outside the 18, so I get a lot of free kicks out there, but I never score free kicks. So maybe I should look at like just getting the ball into the area before I try to do that. That would be probably pretty wise, right? So we come into the final here. This guy's got Marwan Fellaini, which again, I just rolled my eyes. I don't understand why anybody would want Marwan Fellaini in their team. Like I get it, some guys maybe just like him, but he's just so slow. And that stupid afro just drives me crazy. Like, I don't have anything against afros, so don't come at me. Don't write a blog about me about, like, how I'm some afro hater. But, like, it just looks so goofy on Marwan Fellaini. Leroy Sané, this guy had him as a cam, and then he had Wilson. And then, again, he's got two guys that don't even fit his team. So he's got Robert Lewandowski and Jordan Lukaku for whatever reason. I have no idea why. Unless these guys are untradeable. I mean, maybe that guy's got an untradeable team that he's trying to build, but there's no excuse for guys having like players off cam, especially like Lewandowski probably goes for like 100K. So like just sell the guy and go get 100K. You could build a really sick team with that. But this is the way the game started. So the guy was there. He was obviously doing something, but he was just, I don't know what he was doing. He was just like launching the ball. It was like he was doing something else and then just hitting buttons, and then he back passes it, and then he pass and moves with the keeper and puts it out of bounds. Like, I don't know what he was doing, but like I was thinking like, okay, maybe this guy's gonna quit or something. So once he saw my team, but I squandered a couple chances really early on, and then I thought, oh no, because he came down and all the stars aligned perfectly. This was one of those ones you can tell by my player switching that every time that he got the ball, it was kind of panicked. Like it was just everything was running perfectly for him. His player made a great run. And then his Lewandowski made a perfect run, and it just felt like one of those ones that every time I switched, my guys would like pull back and pull off, and he just got so much further than I expected him to. and then he slips a shot in through, and I was like, oh god, what am I doing here? Terrible defending. And then I actually thought that he was going to get another one here. Thankfully, he bottled that. The cross, I was just like, I dread crosses. I just think that crosses are so random. You never know what's going to happen. And then I had a chance here to score. I thought he was offside, and I wasn't paying a real attention to it, so I didn't bother putting a lot of thought into the shot. And he actually just bottled it. Well, I bottled it. That was my fault. So I apologize for that finish. It was really ugly. And then we end up getting our goal here. Nice little through ball there, and Marco van Basten with that high finishing. So with Marco van Basten, on this play, you guys would probably know this better than anybody else on the planet, that with through balls, they're so random. And with this play, I thought, you know, when I hit through ball, it could have easily just basically through ball directly into the defender, or like with stupid FIFA BS people like to say, you know, oh, it's FIFA BS, it will just go straight to the defender. Instead, it did the opposite, and it played the ball actually where I wanted it to, in space. His defender went running off, and I was actually able to, thankfully, score a goal with that. So, like, again, with those through balls, they're either going to go directly into the defender, and you're like, what is it doing that for, and get all mad, or it's just going to be perfect. And thankfully, in that case, it was perfect. I thought I had another one here. Squandered that chance with Van Basten, probably took it too close to the keeper, and then I just rushed the shot with Griezmann. The keeper was in position, but we were able to finally get a second goal here. Bang! Marco van Basten. That was one of those instances where I rarely ever take that shot with a power shot. I usually do low driven, but I thought the guy's got 94 shooting, let's just have it with him, and I'm glad I did, because I feel like the low driven probably wouldn't have worked out. But you guys are going to see here, pass, and then I saw the defender pull, so I was just like, I'll play the second pass and then just hammer a shot, just give it a go, and thankfully that paid off. So he comes right off the kickoff. He was really aggressive off the kickoff, and right off the kickoff basically come downfield, get another opportunity with Lothar Matthäus, and as I was saying, I normally do low driven, and in that case I did the low driven. There's that camera angle that I was talking about. I don't know what is up with that camera angle, but we got to change stadiums, guys. But Lothar Matthäus makes it 3-1. I felt a lot more confident. Boston Prince pauses at this point. I actually thought he was out, but instead he just made some subs. He brought on Jamie Vardy and maybe one other guy. And he went ultra attacking, so he was just rushing my team. He had another opportunity here where he had the ball, and then he slide tackles when the ball doesn't work out. I don't know if that was out of frustration or if it was delayed or what he did, but a real like dumb slide tackle. I'm not going to blame him. Maybe it was button delay. I don't know what caused it, but you guys can see he was nowhere near the ball. Slide tackles, get Vardy sent off. And then it was pretty much game over for this guy at that point. So I felt so much more confident. You know, I don't like to waste time. I like to move the ball, but I don't play it around the back for the sake of playing it around the back. But I try not to make dumb passes. So I could see why somebody might get frustrated with me, because I just try to hold possession, break them down, get them frustrated, and, you know, see if I can get things like this, like a counter attack. Unfortunately, because like I was saying earlier on with ultra attacking, it just boosts his D up. That was actually probably partially my fault as well, because I left Maradona on and he had no stamina by the end of it. But that's what I'm talking about, guys. Make sure you have a sub on the bench that can go in and just jet into space when you got the chance. So he didn't really generate a lot, obviously, with one attacker only left on the field. We just kind of held off and tried to counter, but we weren't able to get a fourth. But it's okay, because we win the DKT. And we qualify for the weekend league. So that's going to be the end of the episode here today, guys. Until episode 23, I appreciate you guys sticking around. So take care, guys. Peace.